Y'all know nothing about this. You need to pay attention. Sit back and relax. It's time for Goodall's Country Kitchen.
For those who don't know, like, who are you? Like, what do you do on your channel? How long have you been running the channel? What made you start? And like, what do you try to do and accomplish?
Okay, I'm Barry Goodall, Goodall's Country Kitchen, YouTube. I started the channel in the summer of 2019 while I was on vacation down in Louisiana. I was in New Orleans. The first video I did, I ate a po' boy sandwich off the top of a trash can in the French Quarter. That kind of started it. It was basically home movies during a 2-week stretch. I was uploading them to Facebook, you know, just to kind of do the home movie thing with the kids. But I was going to all kinds of different restaurants. I was documenting everywhere we ate. And when I got back from vacation, there were several thousand views on these videos. And I didn't have but, you know, maybe 300 or 400 friends at the time on Facebook. So my friends were like, you know what, you should start a YouTube channel. Apparently people like watching what you do. So I went ahead and did that, but it wasn't a serious thing. I wasn't asking people to subscribe to the channel, anything like that. It was just having fun. Well, then fast forward 6 months to March of 2020, COVID hit. All the restaurants in the state and all over the country were shut down. You can no longer do dine-in. So what I did, I decided to use my platform at that time to try to help family-owned restaurants. So I would go get carry-out orders and sit in front of the restaurants in the parking lot or the sidewalk with me and my family, and we would eat carry-outs, and I would encourage the viewers to, instead of just staying at home, go get these carry-out orders and help keep these mom and pop restaurants thriving. So that's when it really became serious as a YouTube channel, and I knew at that point that I was going to keep going with it. For a few months, it was quite a feat trying to help these businesses stay afloat, and amazingly, most of them were able to stay in business. You know, they had to, of course, raise prices and, you know, stuff like that. But when a community comes together, you know, they pitch in, and it doesn't matter. They're out to, you know, help family-owned businesses. So that was a mission. I'd made it my mission at that time to use my platform to help folks, and that's what I'm still doing.
All right, that's great. So we know that you eat a lot in your videos.
Yes.
You call it pure carnage.
Yes.
What's the method to eating as much as you do in those videos?
I go anywhere from 16 to 18 hours a day before I eat my first meal. I'll eat dinner at night, you know, between 6 and 7 o'clock, and I won't eat again until 1 or 2 o'clock the next afternoon. So by the time I get to eat, I'm just like a rabid wolf, you know, just ready to pounce, and, you know, I get panicky, you know, edgy because I'm so hungry. So when I finally get the food in front of me, there's just no stopping.
And following up with that, what's the most you've ever eaten in one review?
Actually, probably the most I ate was a failed food challenge at at Sam's Chicago Grill out on Cane Run. I went there, and he challenged me to eat one of his 3-foot Italian beef sandwiches, which his Italian beef sandwiches, you know, they're probably maybe a pound or so on there. They're good size. They're really good. But when I got there, it wasn't the same size sandwich. I was expecting 3 regular foot-long Italian beef sandwiches. It was 12 pounds of Italian beef sandwiches. So I started in, and of course, while attempting it, I drank 2 32-ounce Diet Cokes, but I did manage to get 8 pounds of the 12-pound sandwich down. So I did, with Coke and fries and all that stuff, Diet Coke, I ate probably 10 or 11 pounds of food. So in a failed attempt, I ate the most I ever ate before. And also on the Substation 2 3-foot challenge, I also failed that one, but that was another one where I ate the equivalent of 5-foot long sub sandwiches.
Wow, we respect you for taking on those challenges even and putting in such a big thing. So you have some recurring characters that show up in your interviews.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about them and like how'd you meet them? What are their names? Their characters.
Well, I guess it started out as my family, okay? But after a while, they got a little tired of it, especially my wife. And then, of course, the kids, they start getting older. They're like, I don't want my friends seeing me eating, you know, because they're teenagers and they're girls and, you know. So anyway, so I started recruiting people that had reached out to me that wanted to be on videos. So I went back, found the old messages. Like the first sidekick that I ever had was Ryan. You remember him? He was the first one. And he, for a year and a half, 2 years, he was my faithful sidekick until I talked him into starting his own channel. Because the viewers loved him so much, I said, dude, you're wasting your time with me. You need your own thing. So then I had a couple other people that kind of came and went. And then in this past, Big Rodney, lifelong friend, went to high school together, played football. He has been another one that I'm trying to get to start a YouTube channel, which he's had some issues lately, hadn't been able to get it off the ground. And then there was another local foodie called Lou Food, I think. He reached out to me and said, you need to collab with Gucci Reviews. So I said, that'd be great. He reached out to Gucci, and within a few minutes, we had our first collab set up together. And we've been collabing ever since. He had just started his channel a few months before. And from the time, I'm not taking all the credit here, but from the time that he and I started collabing, his channel just took off. He's great. I'd say by this time next year, he's going to be way beyond where my channel is.
That's great. So out of all of those characters you named, Gucci, Big Rodney, you know, who can put down the most grub in one sit-down?
You know, let me say before I answer that question, if you all have ever watched the Nathan's Hot Dog Challenge in New York, you notice that the ones that win it every year, Joey Chestnut, the other Asian guy, I can't remember. Okay. And then they're all lined up there at this table with a bunch of token fat guys. Okay? If you ever watch it closely, the fat guys never eat more than like 20 hot dogs. Meanwhile, Kobayashi or Chestnut eat like 75 hot dogs. So, with that prefaced, the guys that usually come with me, they don't eat a whole lot. I would say the one that eats the most out of all of them is the smallest, and that's Gucci.
Really?
Gucci can put it down pretty good, and of course, the boy builder. Have y'all seen the issue? He can put it down too, and he probably only weighs about 135 or 40 pounds. But oh yeah, he's a monster.
Okay, so you have some like eating methods that you do in your videos.
Yeah, I have techniques.
How do you like come up with them and like which one's the best one?
Well, of course, the double and the triple snapping turtle move, because it is actually scientific methodology. For you teachers there at Atherton, you need to pay attention to this, okay? Especially you science teachers, because the double snapping turtle move is purposed for that first snap. The first bite of food goes to the back of the palate, and then as you're moving that to the back of the palate, you're snapping for the second and the third bites, which fill the front of the mouth to where you get that full cranial burst of flavor, because your whole mouth cavity is filled with flavor. Now, the Burmese python move was actually originated when I was in high school. My parents owned a restaurant, Goodall's Country Store, and they had a huge double Goodall burger with bacon, and it was about this big. And when I attempted to eat it, my jaw came out of place. And I was like locked. My jaw was locked out. So from that point, you know, I had to perfect that move, which ended up being labeled the Burmese python.
So, what is grace, and how did you discover it?
Okay, Amazing Grace. All right, so As you know, longtime followers, I have been fans and have new favorite hot sauces as the years have gone on. Started out as like Tapatio, then Skyline Chili, which I've referred to as Scalini. But then I was in the Publix. There's a new Publix out on Old Henry Road a year or so ago. And I was in the international aisle, and I'm going down, and something caught my eye. And I look over, and I saw this on the label. It said, very hot. Okay, so you know I love hot sauces. So I got to looking at it, and it said Grace. And just coincidentally, I was doing a series at that time. It was over a year ago. I was doing Catholic Church fish fry reviews. So I'm thinking to myself, Grace, it's Lent. And it says very hot. Well, I was like, I got to try this out because, you know, it's Lent. We're saved by grace. And, of course, it says very hot. So that's when I took it to the fish fries, started using it, and I got hooked on it. Been using it ever since.
Wow. Okay, so when you eat a very good bite, you go through flavor intoxication.
Yes.
Can you describe like that feeling, like what it takes to achieve flavor intoxication?
It is. Now, when I say intoxication, I don't want you all to think of like illegal, like somebody gets pulled over for drunk driving and they're intoxicated, they're impaired. But what it is, like I said, by the time I eat, I'm in a frenzy and panic mode. So when I get something that is so good, it actually gives me a euphoric high. Like some cross-country runners, which of course I've never been, they get that runner's high thing, and I have to say that it's got to be similar to where it's like you hear music in your head and you just want to start making noises, like, and that's how I end up with those automatic animal noises and stuff that I make. It's involuntary. I can't even help it.
What role do like these family-owned and operated restaurants play in like preserving Kentucky culture?
Well, you talk about Kentucky culture. Here in Louisville, we are blessed to have one of the most diverse food scenes in the world. You could go out to Butyl and what I refer to as the International Mile. It's like going to Epcot at Walt Disney. You're going to every different storefront is a different country. And the one thing that I have done in this journey with my YouTube channel is I have opened myself up to learn not only about the different cuisines, but the different cultures. And that's like going on a vacation to me when I go around town and get to learn new things with meeting new people, new cultures. But then you say Kentucky culture, Louisville is embedded deeply with Kentucky culture. We have the Churchill Downs. We have a lot of old time Kentucky cuisine here, like the hot browns, the burgoo, you know, the country ham, all kinds of good down home old Kentucky culture recipes.
That's great. So recently, WHAS 11, I believe, has like picked you up kind of thing.
Correct. That's been a year and a half.
A year and a half. And you have a segment called Great Day Live. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, a year and a half ago, I had the CFO of WHAS reached out to me, asked if I would come in and meet with the staff there and the general manager and different ones. We sat down and they pitched some ideas to me how they would like to partner with my channel. It's the Great Day Live show is all about local. It's a segment every morning at 9 a.m. on WHAS, and it's all local stuff. So they designated a show at the end of every month for me to showcase local restaurants, local food themes, whether it's February African American History Month, I do soul food that month, and February, March, I do the Catholic Church fish fry tour. Every month it's a different theme, like April's usually Derby theme, stuff like that. So that's what they want me to do, showcase local food scene. And also, on top of that, as of this past month, I'm now partnered not only with WHAS, but with the Crusade for Children within WHAS, and I'm in the middle of a series now showcasing fire departments and restaurants that participate in the crusade.
Wow, that's amazing. How did you feel when they told you you're going to be on the show?
I was honored, of course, but you know, I was not nervous about it, because there's one thing I learned early on is don't get nervous, try to script things and plan things ahead of time. One thing I'm pretty good at is thinking on my feet. Even I'm not trying to claim like I'm thinking smart on my feet, but I can talk on my feet, and I really am as ignorant as I appear on the videos. But the one thing is, I'm never short of words. So I knew I could get on there and talk as long as they wanted me to talk, and especially about food. If you're talking about the subject of food, I could talk your ear off. So it was easy.
How has partnering with them impacted your following?
You know, it's opened it up to new audiences. You know, there's a lot of most local people have never heard of me. So when you're putting it out there on the morning show, basically, A Great Day Live, there's older people that are retired that watch that. And of course, it's brought a new audience to my regular audience.
So what kind of impact has the channel had overall on your life and the businesses that you reviewed?
Well, it changed my life. I'll tell you that right now. A lot of people, the viewers, don't know is I was working for JCPS up until 3.5 years ago, when I was run over by a school bus in the parking lot at Eastern High School. Which, by the way, I worked at I worked at Atherton back in 2000, 2001. I coached football there. That's a whole story in itself sometime, but a couple funny stories there. But anyway, when I was run over by the bus, I was off work for almost a year. I lived in a recliner, you know, in pain every day, and I just didn't know what was coming next. And I would pray for answers, and you know, I knew I wasn't going to be able to go back to the job I had before, and eventually the principal at that time did eliminate my job, and I was forced to retire. So I was like, anxiety setting in, don't know what I'm going to do, but prayer is real. And God finally answered my prayers, and overnight, in December of 2023, my YouTube channel spiked, literally in one night. And I was already monetized, but I wasn't getting payments, anything to speak of, maybe $100 a month or something that they would send me. But overnight, I was making pretty good money, and I realized at that time I didn't have to worry about how I was going to pay the bills and not lose my house. And it was something I enjoyed doing so much, and it just answered everything that I had worried about. And now, you know, I'm able to do things for my family that I was never in a financial position to do before. Like, we just went on that Disney cruise. You know, I mean, there's things we're doing now family-wise that if you'd told me back in the mid-90s that I'd have a family, first of all, and be doing this and that, I'd say you're crazy. But, you know, God takes care of everybody.
So how has your channel impacted like the businesses, the business side, like these restaurants and like stuff like that?
Well, for instance, Chicago City Pizza, which I just reviewed yesterday. The YouTube video is gonna be out tomorrow. I don't know when this is gonna be broadcast. It might already be broadcast. So look up Chicago City Pizza review. But them as an example, I did 2 videos previous to the Crusade video I did yesterday. And since I've done their first video, their business increased 33% over the first year. I did another one a few months ago. It increased again to where their business has more than doubled, and it was just a wife and husband team for years and years. They have now had to go out and hire 6 people. They have so much business they can't even handle it. So I love to hear success stories like that where I directly helped families, and that's just one of many.
So what has making your reviews taught you about Kentucky culture and like its people?
Well, a lot of people, they come from out of state, they come in for Derby, they come in for the Derby tours, And they always, when you get feedback, they always say that the folks in Kentucky are the nicest people that they've ever come across in all their travels. And of course, Louisville's a big town, but we're still in the South, you know? And people just come here and get good Southern cooking, cuisine, and find folks all over the state. I've done a Eastern Kentucky mountain food tour last year. And
is there a David here?
Everywhere I went down there in the mountains, Eastern Kentucky, everybody's just as nice as they can be. So no matter where you go in the state of Kentucky, for the most part, people are just welcoming, accepting, and welcome you into their doors.
And
this is my whole production right here. My microphone, my tripod, and my phone. I do everything on this phone. I edit, I film, I do everything. So I could probably be way above where I'm at right now, you know, if I had all the fancy bells and whistles, but I don't really care about that. I want to keep it the way it is. I'm not trying to change anything. People constantly message me with these big ideas and stuff. And if I listened to their advice, I would probably have a lot more subscribers, more viewers, even though I crossed over 12 million views last month, and most of those were in the last 2 years. So I'm doing something right. And if my channel never got any bigger or more successful than it is today, I consider myself the most blessed person on earth.
so what do you see in the future of like the food scene in Louisville?
I'm going to keep promoting local. You know, I'm all over the state now. I'm all over southern Indiana. I've been over in Indiana so much, they're about ready to make me an honorary Hoosier, because I've got like 3 reviews planned in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be back across the river in Indiana, but for right now, I like to keep it local in Kentucky, family owned, southern Indiana, and of course when I go on vacation, I always take advantage and do a video, because one perk to having a YouTube channel is once you're monetized and it comes tax time, if you don't have receipts to write off against your earnings, you got to pay all that tax. It's not like a paycheck where they take the taxes out. No, when it's a YouTube channel, end of the year, you owe all that tax, that income tax on it. So I got hit pretty hard last year, but I knew then that I had to get, play the game correct and save every receipt. So that is one advantage to having the YouTube channel. You save receipts, you get to write things off. I want to get lunch for us here in a little bit. It's part of my YouTube business, because I want to put some clips in there of us. I'm paying for lunch because I get to write it off and I get some of that money back. So I went on that tangent. What was the question?
So like for the future of like these like family-owned restaurants in Louisville and in Kentucky, like what do you think the future looks like for those businesses? Like do you see that like it's kind of like growing, or what's going on?
Oh, it's definitely growing. Louisville, and I've said this before many times, per capita, I believe, my opinion, that Louisville is the biggest and best foodie town in the United States. We might not have the most restaurants, because we're only 1 million people here. But when you break it down percentage-wise, we have the best quality restaurants, the most best quality restaurants, and the most diverse food culture anywhere I've seen in the United States. And I've been to New York, I've done videos up there, and you have a lot of great street food in New York and everything, but Louisville's got the diversity.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Let's eat. It was great.
You're welcome. Bologna. I want them on white bread, run them through the garden, and both with the hot pepper cheese and mayonnaise. If you know what the word serendipity means, I guess my definition of it is you discover something by accident. You're looking for one thing, but you get another. So I ordered a sandwich, and I said I want 2 sandwiches, but I want them made the same way. I said I want a country ham sandwich and a bologna sandwich, but I want them run through the garden, which means all the vegetables and mayonnaise. So what they did was, I guess I didn't communicate it very good. They ended up with putting the bologna and the country ham, which they end up putting regular city ham, on the same sandwich. So this is actually something that I accidentally invented, a ham and bologna sandwich on the same sandwich.
Well, we'll see what's good.
Well, I'm gonna let you know. With hot pepper cheese. Quit fronting.
Quit front. Triple. Pure carnage.
Full cranial burst of flavor.
Yeah, doing good. I appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
Let me chase it down with some of this pasta salad.
There you go.
There we go.
Now, that's what we call a flavor intoxication.
Lift that chin up.
Uh-oh, here you go. There you go. Alright, I gotta do it now. I gotta hit him with it. Here we go, y'all.
Or a triple.
I'm gonna try to get a triple here. Look, in front of the legend. Let's see if I can do it. Let's see. On the beef, this is a beef brisket with, it's got fried onions, smoked Gouda on a ciabatta roll. Here we go. Ciabatta.
That's what I'm talking about. Triple. Right off the bat. And he pulled a chipmunk move. I don't know if y'all saw that. Talk with his mouth full, with the cheeks bulging with food. That's the chipmunk technique.
That's how we do it in my household.
Yeah. All right.
Wash it down a little diet.
Pinky up. Pinky. There you go. Gotta have that pinky up.
Yes, sir.
Wash it down a little diet. This tastes so good. And y'all that ain't from here, y'all don't know nothing about these grippos. Quit front.
Quit front.
That was an old 80s term back in my day.
Yeah. I hear you say it
Whenever
all the time.
somebody's talking smack, you think they're lying, you just quit front. You fronting, you know.
Now we say you cap.
Cap, yeah, no cap.
No cap.
Like, I smell cap.
Yep. Chicago City Pizza, because they serve at Chicago City Pizza, everything is just swimming in garlic butter. I mean, everywhere. I said, man, I'm starting to feel like I'm at one of these Puff Daddy Diddy parties where all this butter.
Oil, baby oil.
Right. And ever since then, I started doing the no Diddy. Whenever something gets said that's kind of off color, can be taken
Out of
a
context.
different way, say no Diddy.
No Diddy.
But what is your favorite saying? Because you have so many. There's so many to choose from.
Well, I'm describing how good something is, I guess. You know, when I'm trying to convince you how good it is, I say, and I ain't even front.
Because he ain't,
You know, that lets you know
never
I
front.
really
Never
mean
front.
it. I'm not just saying it, you know, like some average food is like good, and I'm just saying it's good. No, when I say, and I ain't even front, that means it's like top shelf good. Did I almost elbow you in the face?
No, you're good.
Yeah. All right. I don't know how they ended up with wheat bread. I told them white bread on both. You heard me over
Yeah, I
this.
heard you.
I think we may have it
So
on
that's
video.
when you would call them like a city boy. City boy. That's when you say like city boy.
Because like you're a city boy and we're country boy.
Yeah, we're countrymen, and it's like, so if you do something that's like dumb, it's like you're a city boy.
You're
like
just a little
city
city
boy.
That's the new kid
Yeah.
saying.
That's what kids are saying now.
Oh wow, this one's got jalapeno on it.
Uh-oh.
This one did.
Yeah, they still have it's on hot cheese on both.
Yeah, I hope.
That's a pro Morris's move. If you ever come to Morris's, you gotta get the hot cheese. It's the best cheese they got on the menu.
Did you all pick Morris's for this interview because you knew how much I loved it?
Well, I know how much you love it, and it's also like right
It's also
over
so
here
close
with
to Atherton and,
We
like-
come here a good amount,
Yeah.
so it's like
Strange.
Maybe it's a little brain fog. But maybe it was a sign because you're enjoying it, obviously. So like maybe it's a new order.
Relax, it's time for Goodall's Country Kitchen.